Hey, what's going on, guys? It's everyone's favorite anime and manga podcast, lOsTAKUS. My name is Eric.
And I'm JT.
And we are back with our first episode of our weekly Shonen review. The last one we did was like in July.
We actually did record one, but because I got sick, I never finished editing it. And that was the last video we made.
Shall never be seen, locked away in a hard drive forever.
When we left off, Jujutsu Kaisen was
on break.
Yeah,
Jujutsu
so
Kaisen
that was a while
break.
ago.
So it's going to be a little bit of a long one. Yeah.
A recap? What do we talk about in this
Just to
segment?
recap from what we were talking about before. So we do consistently One Piece, we do Dr.Stone, Jujutsu Kaisen, and My Hero Academia. We were doing Red Hood, and we were doing Red Hood and Neru.
From chapter one,
we're doing Red Hood and then Neru as well. But since the timing of our last video, they have been canceled by
we were on
Shonen
break.
Jump. We were on break. They were canceled. They did not get enough votes. It wasn't as popular in Japan, so Shonen Jump decided to hit them and give them that good old axe, which is very unfortunate because Red Hood was really good.
I felt like it was, and a lot of Western fans did or were upset that it was canceled.
As many of y'all don't know, I'm on Twitter a lot, and a lot of the comments from Western fans were like, why was it canceled? It was super popular here. It was extremely popular.
It was
here.
Unique.
It was
had
definitely
powerful
unique,
female leads and characters,
which we don't get a lot in Shonen, and he was giving it to us. He was like,
he was an assistant.
He was assistant to Horikoshi from My Hero, so he was one of his assistants, and he had a lot of good female leads, strong role models. I loved it.
Apparently, the pacing was too slow.
They were complaining about the pacing from the Japanese comments. They're just like, it was too slow and it took a long time to build up, but they could have kept working with it. So it was very, very disappointing. Neru was good as well, but it just didn't fit with
the times.
With the times,
right?
It was.
I liked it. It was different.
Good art.
Old school feel
to it. And martial arts. Like, we haven't had a good martial arts manga in the Shonen Jump magazine for a while. And it was a breath of fresh air. But it didn't fit with the times and what's going on now. So unfortunately, it was also
fast-paced action. Oh, that's the thing. I think nowadays fast-paced action is popular.
Something more darker too.
Those two just weren't fast-paced at all. It was a very slow building story, which I liked. It was different pacing than what's going on right now, but apparently that's just not it in Japan right now.
But right now, I always say this on Twitter, and I'll say it right now, like, Jujutsu Kaisen is, in my opinion, at the top of Shonen Jump. I love One Piece, don't get me wrong, I'm a whole One Piece simp, but if I really had to put something over One Piece, it would be Jujutsu Kaisen because it deserves it. Like, it is the number one pound for pound king of Shonen Jump right now. Like,
not the art,
definitely not the art, right?
The art. Nobody can argue the art. Nobody can argue that his art is that good. Credit where credit is due. Anybody that can draw in Shonen Jump is a fantastic artist. But when you compare it to their fellow peers, maybe not.
Yeah, so you could always compare the art, but in terms of actual good story,
telling and building, world building, everything,
explaining
knocks it out of the park.
Explaining of powers and power system, Jujutsu Kaisen number one is it. So, but that's just a little bit biased on me. But we'll get into news. I have a couple of things to go over in news this week.
I've been so busy. I have no news, so it's all up to you.
I got you, man. So it's actually a pretty big week for Shonen Jump. On the 18th and the 19th of, which is Saturday, Sunday, is the big Shonen Jump Festa, which is the anime convention / festival that they have in Japan. I was extremely lucky to actually have gone back in 2018 or 2017, I think it was.
17.
It was amazing. It was great. But the reason why it's so big is because they announce a lot of either anime adaptations or any new special projects that are coming up for any of the manga currently in Shonen Jump or previous, one of the big ones Bleach. They're gonna have the very first Bleach anime preview releasing at Shonen Jump Festa.
So like a trailer?
So yeah, like the trailer. So they're gonna have the very first anime release trailer for the very last arc of Bleach. They're also announcing a anime for Jigoku Raku, or Hell's Paradise, which is a manga that I started reading, that I finished reading this year. It's really great. Definitely want to make a video about that.
Very edgy.
A lot of new anime adaptations they're probably going to have something for Chainsaw Man. For sure, they're going to have something about Chainsaw Man. If you haven't read it, go read it. I'm telling you, this anime is going to be a banger. And then most likely Oda's going to have something to say, maybe some more information on the One Piece film Red, which is, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for that new film. So it's going to be really cool. On the more other side of news, Cowboy Bebop will not be returning for a season 2 on Netflix.
It got way more hate.
It got a lot of bad reviews from everybody.
Well, not everybody, because it's still split. You can say 50-50, because what's it overall rating? Like
I don't know.
6 or 5 or something?
I haven't watched it, but I saw clips and I'm like, I don't want to watch it.
I didn't. The only thing I've ever watched about Cowboy Bebop was the video cut that they did for with the opening sequence, with the opening theme sequence. That's the only thing I've watched about Cowboy Bebop, and even then I told you, like, not for me. But I did hear about the changes. I did watch some videos about what they changed, and all the things that they changed was just
It was too much. It was too much for the fans, and that's to be expected. It's I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's highly improbable to make a really good anime like live action. I'm pretty sure maybe to some fans they might consider one that they've watched before that's been really well done.
Rurouni Kenshin, the only anime movie ever to be done right is Rurouni Kenshin.
I have a counter to that. I've seen an anime by the name of Akagi, which is like a gambling anime. They had the live action, like, I guess it was like a movie. It was like a movie, I guess, split up into parts. I think it was on Crunchyroll when I watched it. It was accurate because it was just about playing mahjong.
Have you seen the anime?
Yeah, I watched the anime and first, and then I was like, this is pretty well done. Like, it's not over the top. There's no superpowers. There's no supernatural stuff.
Something that you can do.
It's just gambling. It's like human is realistic, so it made sense. So that was the one that.
Like Rurouni Kenshin, the anime has superpowers, but if you watch the movie, they blend it pretty well with just basic samurai stuff.
Anybody who defends the Bleach movie, like that was trash. Why? Because I was in Japan when the Bleach movie released, and I asked one of my friends who's Japanese and he's a super Bleach fan, and he's like, he watched it and he's like, no, bro, it was trash. So
it's like Dragon Ball.
Straight coming from a Japanese.
The Dragon Ball movie here in America.
Trash.
What do you think? Like, I went to film school, right?
Yeah.
So I've actually done scripts, and I have done some anime-inspired scripts. Like, I got some ideas from anime and just adapted them into Western style.
Yeah.
Try not to bop off too much. I was just trying to get by class. So I just took ideas from it. No, this is pretty cool to be able to do this. It's a lot of work because you don't want to bop off everything.
That's true. That is true.
But that's how I feel that movies that are Western made, anime adaptation movies, Western made, they don't want to copy it and paste. But I think that's what pisses off anime fans. Yeah. The fact that you don't copy and paste. But the thing is that it's very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard because of their budget. You can do it. Marvel has shown it. Nobody can argue that because Marvel has shown that you can adapt something that's related to comic books into live action.
You just need
the thing is, they need the dough. They really need the dough,
bro.
As much as I dislike Demon Slayer, I feel if they make a live action Demon Slayer, I feel like that's gonna be the one to be decent.
Yeah.
Because it's so popular globally.
Yeah.
They might give the budget to do that because they already know that they're investing in something that's super popular.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So they just need investors. Netflix ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, as big as Netflix is, they can only do so much.
So Disney, hit them up.
Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is gonna be releasing in Japan in about a week or two. That's gonna be pretty big.
So
when we'll get it here,
3 months, 5 months, 6 months, bro.
But I saw they made a theatrical poster for it, and it's like the first anime movie in like IMAX. And I'm like, bro, like I hope we get it in IMAX here because I'm tired of just watching it in standard. Like, give me IMAX. If we could get Jujutsu Kaisen 0 in IMAX, bro, that'd be amazing. Like, I'll pay the money for it, bro.
IMAX and Dolby and other stuff, people don't really care how. Some people don't care how they watch movies. I prefer to watch them in Dolby.
Yeah.
Because Dolby is basically more of an audio aspect. So I prefer the sound. For me is more important. The way I watch it, I really don't care.
Yeah.
But when you mentioned that Jujutsu Kaisen was coming out in IMAX, I'm like, you know what? I might care for that because animation. It's more beautiful. It's visually more stunning.
Yeah.
So for that, I would prefer to watch it in IMAX.
Exactly. But that's about it for the news that I have. I can't really think of anything else, so let's jump straight into it, and we'll start off with One Piece. We'll do a couple chapters behind because it's a really good.
Basically, the biggest concepts, or do you want to do the current ones, which is basically it's a power up boost for Zoro and Sanji?
Yeah,
you want to start there or a little bit more backer?
No, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. We started to get a little bit of Zoro's past. Finally, Oda freaking threw us a bone.
Like,
for
this guy
years.
is too Japanese to be from the East Blue.
And it's funny because Zoro, being the blockhead that he is, he was just like, oh wait, like the sword, the guy was telling me he made this. I remember there used to be this old man in my village. Cuts back into the village.
And it just says old man of the village.
He doesn't even have a name. And it was so funny. And he could just always be fishing at like around the cliff, and Zoro would go and talk to him sometimes. And the guy would tell him, like, I used to be like a sword maker back in my country. And Zoro's like, oh, wow. Like, okay. I guess that's cool, man.
But don't say it to anybody because then the government will get me.
And then Zoro, it's so cute how Oda draws them as kids, because Zoro did the
basically chibis.
Yeah, the little chibis of them. And he's like, the Navy won't come here. Bleh. And then the old man ends up dying.
Well, he saw how, because Zoro would train near him, and he saw how Zoro would always train to his limit. And he gave him swords.
Oh yeah, he gave him actual swords. He's like,
are you sure these look expensive? He's like, no, they're crap.
They're crap, bro.
The best sword I ever made was in my youth.
And then he tells him about that sword. He's like, it was named after the god of the underworld. And then it cuts back to Zoro present, and he's like, Enma? He's like, that old man was from Wano. Why did he live in our village? Wait, is the whole village from what? Bro, like, it took him so long to realize this, but he
put two and two together. Put two and two together that when Wano was announced, that Wano existed, a island of samurais that is secluded, and One Piece fans were like, Japan. Immediately, everybody was like, Zoro is from Wano. Not the case. He's a descendant of someone from Wano. But we're finally getting that unraveled little by little.
But what we found out is, as I said, the old man ended up dying, and Zoro didn't realize who he was until he died. And it turns out to be Kuina's grandfather,
his childhood friend.
So his childhood friend, that was her grandpa. So already there, you're seeing the lineage. The lineage is there. We just need Oda to throw us another freaking bone and, expand on that.
So before that, there was a character that they kept getting mentioned. There's these samurais in Wano that are helping Luffy and the gang. And every time they see Zoro fight, they're like, hey, doesn't that guy look like that guy? Doesn't that guy fight like that guy? Yeah. And then they show a flashback of some dude that helped Yamato escape from her chains.
Yeah.
And everybody assumed that's Zoro's dad. That guy looks like Zoro. That guy acts like Zoro. That's his dad. But then you told me on the SBS that Oda said what?
On the SBS. So if you don't know, the SBS is just where fans can Q&A for Oda to answer.
Write letters.
And one of the fans asked, is that guy, I forget his name, Shimotsuki something Boro. I
can't remember.
But he asked him, hey, is that Zoro's dad? And Oda's like, nope,
that's like, not his dad.
And he
built it up so hype in the manga for one chapter, build it around this guy fighting like Zoro, acting like Zoro, looking like Zoro. And then he gets asked the question, he just says, nope. And if you think that he's just bluffing, no. What he says goes, whether it's a Q&A or in his manga. Someone catches something that wasn't right or wasn't drawn. Hey, that wasn't drawn there in the last panel. Then he makes up a whole ass character in order to explain why that wasn't there in the last panel.
Oda's good.
Oda doesn't play around, kids.
He doesn't play around, bro.
He doesn't play around.
He's
So
like,
he
you're not
said
gonna
no.
catch me. You're not gonna catch me off guard. You're gonna catch me slipping.
Yep.
I'll fix it, bro. Like, you can't catch me slipping.
So he said no. So it's a no.
So it's a no. That is not Zoro's father. We have yet to determine who is Zoro's father. But as he's going through this flashback, he is currently struggling with King. King is a massive pterodactyl.
Basically humanoid
A
pterodactyl.
humanoid pterodactyl because of his devil fruit, and he can stretch his freaking head back and
So you know
sling it
that
like a slingshot.
pterodactyls have their heads elongated. Well, this man is so cold. Zoro has attacked him with strong attacks that we've seen him take out opponents. Did not lay a scratch on him. He's done so much damage to him that he's all like, I've done so much damage, and now I'm looking at him. There is no damage. How can I beat this guy? This guy is so badass, so OP. He looks badass. And then his attack is the craziest, wackiest. He literally, his head is shaped, pterodactyl heads, right? So they're kind of shaped like this. He grabs the tip of his head and pulls it all the way back and then slings it.
So here's the thing that a lot of people have a gripe against Oda is like, man, why can't he take it? No, like, why can't he take serious fights? No, that's BS, and I hate that. Why? Because this man enjoys himself. He enjoys writing these characters.
He never makes a perfect character.
Exactly.
Never.
And it's beautiful to give him these tiny flaws. Like, King is on the level of Katakuri in terms of badassness. He's just super badass. Like, he is intimidating AF, right? And then you get this, you gotta.
He just pulls his head over it,
God.
slings. Zoro's like, is that how it works? No, Zoro. Like, I didn't know dinosaurs could do that, just like Frankie. And we're like, no, they're not supposed to.
They're not supposed to, but King is like, yes, this is how pterodactyls used to hunt back in the ancient times. I'm convinced that Oda is a time traveler, and he's the only one who knows how dinosaurs work, bro. Like, that's it. He knows, bro. But the funny thing is that King is also always on fire because, drum roll, they announced, Queen basically told Sanji his.
You know how people tell their whole power system, how their powers work to their enemies? Well, Oda tends to do it with other characters, explaining other characters. So it's not the same. You get a whole explanation about King for no reason. Queen is fighting Sanji. Mm-hmm. And just for no reason. Well, he does say like your swordsman friend is gonna die because King is a Lunarian.
Yeah.
Basically, his race was worshipped like gods.
Yeah.
They were at the top of the red line.
They might be. He didn't say that.
But they
that's
might true.
They might be.
Sanji was asking questions, and he's like, well, you figure it out. I was like, then why would you tell him in the beginning?
That's for you to find out, Queen says. As a true scientist, he wants people to find their own answers. So I respect that.
So I gave you a hypothesis, now you figure it out.
Yeah, but my hypothesis is that, they probably were at the top of the red line back in the ancient times or whatever, and they might have been the race that got taken down by the
Celestials.
The Celestials that are now up there. But Lunarian moon, maybe they're tied into the moon somehow.
It's so cool because they're called Lunarians, yet he is as hot as the sun.
Yeah, right? He is like freaking
so
on
weird.
fire. But he was basically, and Zoro was like, oh, can dinosaurs combust into flames too? He's like, no.
They sound like that. How does that work?
So basically Zoro is having a really hard time against King, and it's funny because
it came to a point where Zoro said, I can't beat this guy.
And in response to that, Enma picked up on his weakness. He's like, quit being a bitch. And it took his arm, like it sucked up his hockey. And then he's like, what do you mean what's going on, bro? You just told yourself Enma sensed the fear, not fear, but the doubt in you. And that's why it took your hockey away. It sensed that you were being a bitch. And which is crazy for Zoro because he's not that character.
He's very confident.
He's very confident, but as it stands, he knew King was on a completely different level, which he is. He's hit him with the whole kitchen sink, and nothing has gone through.
These Lunarians, I think King is an alien.
Yeah, they're probably made
humans fighting an alien. He's not gonna be able to beat him easily. But Enma is showing like, nah, bro. You gotta level me up to level you up.
Yep. So Enma's giving him a message. So as Zoro's going through his whole flashback of the guy, and he's like, all right, well, I guess, we gotta do it, bro. And then that chapter had ended with Zoro finally getting his hockey back, and then you see lightning coming out of his blades, and I'm like, and then King says, "Oh, I see you have kingly ambitions as well." And Zoro's like, "I guess I do." Chapter ends. It's confirmed that he can put Conqueror's hockey into his attacks just like Luffy can. And that was
Luffy went through a training arc to figure that out, and now Zoro, his sword, he's all like, "Oh, I got this new hockey that people are telling me that I have. I guess I'll use that too." He just knows. It's
instinct for him. So, and that's where that chapter for Zoro left off. And then we switch over to Sanji. Sanji's fighting Queen, and it was crazy because Queen is just obsessed with Sanji using the raid suit. He wants him to use the raid suit a lot.
He wants to defeat the Germa technology. Yeah. Because he's a scientist and he wants to prove that his technology is superior because that boy is a cyborg.
So as they were fighting, Sanji started kind of running, and then he kind of blanked out for a second. And next thing you know, there's a girl on the ground and looking at him in fear. And Sanji's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then the other geishas come and pick her up, and they're like, "What did you do?"
She was bleeding.
Yeah, she was bleeding.
She was injured.
And they're telling Sanji, "Well, why did you hit her?" And that moment,
Sanji did not remember because he blacked out, because he was freaking out because his body is changing. Sanji is getting a power up as well.
Sanji's getting a power up as well. Queen took a sword right to his head, and the sword just broke. And we're like, "Wait, what?"
Just like his brothers and sister. And he got scared because he never wanted to be like them. He thought that if he became like them, then what did his mother suffer for?
Yeah.
What did his mother try to protect him from not being like the rest of his siblings? If he becomes like them, that it was all useless. Yeah. So he was scared that he would become like his siblings. Yeah. That's why he was freaking out. And that's why he blacked out for that moment, because his body was changing.
He was freaking out, and then he sees her on the ground there. She's getting taken, and Sanji's like, "Wait, did I do that?" And it was such a character breaking moment because Sanji does not hit women. Like, that's not a thing, right? And then Queen comes up behind him, and he's about to attack Sanji, and Sanji's going through this little monologue in his head, and he's telling he's like, "Luffy, like, what do you want? Like, do you want me, or do you want the cold-blooded me, where even a guy like Queen I can take out if you just give me the orders, like a freaking soldier, bro?" It was pretty cool. But at the same time, he's like, "Well, what do I want to be?" And he finally figured it out. He's like, "You know what? I'm just gonna be me. I'm just gonna be me." And that was so cool that he's going through that process, and
he's really gonna try to find himself within his changes.
Yep.
And the saddest moment for me was he grabbed his raid suit, his brand new raid suit, which I thought was gonna be his power up, which kind of helped him a little bit, being invisible and all. And he threw it on the ground and stomped on it.
And Queen was like, "No, why?"
Yeah, like, "I really wanted to fight you in your suit."
Yeah.
He's like, "Nah, I'm just gonna be me now."
Yeah.
So I respect that, but I was like, that was a cool suit.
Yeah, that was a really cool suit.
Frankie
could just build it for him again, bro.
Yeah, but
and it turns out Queen can use every technique that his brothers can use. He
hasn't used his sister's technique because she uses poison. Yeah. So that's a bit different. But all of his brothers' techniques, Queen starts using against him.
So he starts using the red lightning, the blue one. I forget
the names of the
Ichiji,
attacks.
Niji. You have Sanji, and then you have Yonji. And he starts using all their moves and techniques. He's like, "I can do everything y'all can do, and even this." And then he disappears, and we're like, "Oh, he disappeared."
It's funny because all of the attacks, their brothers all say their attacks along with their color.
Yeah.
He repeats the same attack, but just adds Queen at the end.
Really original, my guy. So he disappears, and Sanji kind of like starts looking for him or whatever, and then Queen, in his invisible mode, is like creeping up on the girl that we had just found laying on the ground,
because she was searching for Chuji. Who's
Chuji? The freaking mouse.
Freaking mouse.
He's like really obsessed with her because Komurasaki had died, and he was the one that she was the one that Queen had wanted or whatever. And then he's
a beautiful woman that he would call forth, but she always rejected him. You look fine to me. Why did you reject me?
Yeah.
And even today.
Yeah. And he did not like that or appreciate that. And then he says, well, it looks like the beating I gave you earlier didn't work, so let me give you another beating. He was the one that hit her. It wasn't Sanji, it was Queen. He was just
Sanji
invisible.
figures that out real quick when he sees that Queen is creeping up on her. And he's all like, oh, you're the one that hit her, you scum. And then he goes in for the attack. And so Sanji easily calculated and figured out that his body is changing, so he's gonna adapt his powers to his body. So that means he can flame up even harder, and he can kick way stronger. And that's exactly what he does.
His body being as hard as steel now, the flames that he can push it further, and on top he uses his armament hockey on there. That's a heck of an attack. So he just hits Queen and boom.
Queen just goes flying.
And Queen goes flying. It looks like that might have
because they were both worn out. Yeah. Well, Queen mentioned that he was already worn out.
Yeah, he was already worn out.
Queen had mentioned that we're both worn out, but Sanji didn't say he was worn out.
Yeah.
Queen just is assuming that.
Yeah.
But as we saw, Sanji is getting the power up on his body, so he might be able to take more.
Yeah. So Queen said he was worn out. So I don't know if this is the attack that did it. But based just on the dialogue alone, I'm going on like that might have been like the final attack. But
it's Queen.
Yeah,
he might have something up his sleeve.
He's gonna have something up his sleeve. So
he shot off his body once
like a snake. It was so weird. That was nasty.
So who knows? But that's how that chapter ended. Yeah, and
that was the chapter.
We caught up.
Yeah, we caught up. That was the chapter today, the 12th December. No chapter for One Piece. It was on break. So that's where the chapter ended.
So basically right now we're just getting a bit of a backstory on Zoro and a whole power up on Zoro and Sanji.
And both of them getting their power
before that, we just had Yamato trying to look for the bombs to try to stop it from blowing up.
Yeah.
Because that'll do massive damage on the island and kill a lot of people. And Mononosuke is now a dragon.
Yeah, Mononosuke is not a dragon because Shinobu used her ripe fruit.
Made him 20 years older.
So
he's a huge dragon trying to use the same clouds that Kaido uses to float the island.
Yeah.
His are so weak.
And I was really worried that Oda was gonna use Momonosuke in a fighting way.
Yeah, because you know when someone gets a power up in anime, they automatically know how to use their powers when it's the first time they've used it. And Mononosuke here, nope.
Nah.
He's like, can I even do this? And he tries it. It's like a little cloud.
Oda executed this beautifully, perfectly, man. Exactly how I wanted it to. He used it just so Luffy can ride up on a big ass dragon
and
to face Kaido, and that's what we got. But it was great because even though his body is now mature, his mind's still of a kid. His mind's still of a child.
His body matured, but not him.
And mentally. Luffy, being the genius that he is with people as well, he knew, he's like, hey bro, just bite Kaido, just bite him. And then Momonosuke's like, no, but he finally gains up the courage and he bites him, and Luffy tells him, you just bit a freaking Yonko, an emperor of the sea, one of the strongest guys. What are you afraid of now, bro? Nothing, right? Get out of here, go do what you gotta do, bro. I'll take care of him.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we still haven't gotten Luffy and Kaido yet. So that's the main event coming soon. Next year. No, for sure next year. Hopefully.
Yeah. But so that was One Piece. Caught up with that. Next, we'll move on to Dr.Stone. Dr. Stone has been quite an intriguing turn of events.
It's funny because we go to something very exciting in fighting with One Piece, and then when you read Dr. Stone, there's been no action.
Nothing.
Just nothing but adventure.
It's adventure and scientific stuff.
If you follow Dr. Stone, then I think that should be enough. Because you know what you're going to get. Just knowing that they're about to go to the moon. They're reaching the point of being able to reach the moon. That's it. They've just been traveling around collecting members that would help them, and places where they would have the technology or need to get
materials. They're building materials. They're building materials too.
That's all it's been this whole time,
and it's been really great. It's been really great because you're starting to see the journey that they are taking to accomplish this goal of getting to the moon in a stone world where that technology didn't exist. But because you have all these people that work together, they can accomplish it. And it's really beautiful to see. It's like the power of humanity. It's like, not the power of friendship, power of humanity and what humans are capable of.
This is the biggest power of friendship, yes. in Shonen Jump right now, but it works.
It works. It freaking works, and it's so great.
At the same time, it's like everybody has a gun to their head. You don't know when Y-Man, who's in the moon, is going to attack, and then we're just gonna be back to square one.
Yep.
We're all gonna be stoned.
Yep.
So that's why everybody is basically working together.
Yeah. So yeah, right now they had chosen their people to go to the moon, and it was Senku, Kohaku, and Ryusui. So it's those three. So they've been undertaking some training to make sure that their bodies are gonna be able to
astronaut
training.
Senku is pushing himself to the limit. He's the only one. Everybody else is fine. I love this. So for a lot of people that say that Shonen Jump doesn't have very strong female characters, that is true. There is no arguing that. And there's people that just want strong female leads. You're not gonna find it very often, but I really do like Kohaku. At first, I was upset. Her first appearance when she confronted Tsukasa, she was a badass. She confronted him with no fear.
Yeah.
And she fought him hand-to-hand combat. But then the next time we see her fight, it's 4 against 1, and she's part of that team fighting Tsukasa, and they get wrecked.
Yeah.
Like, come on, we just saw her, and even Tsukasa was impressed. Like, wow, like someone from this Stone Age can move almost as fast as me.
Yeah.
And every time we see new arcs, new fights, Kohaku is just a B character, a B role, right?
Yeah.
Tsukasa, Hyuga, anybody else takes on the stronger or the strongest
opponents.
And Kohaku is just fighting some fodder, or she's just a backup to that opponent.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much role. And when they were training, they did some physical tests to see who is fit enough and who's more fitting to be part of the team of 3. I thought it was going to be a lot of people, but they're going with 3 people to go to the moon. And Tsukasa, everybody was like, well, obviously for the physical test, it's going to be Tsukasa all the way. And that was proven to be true. But then Tsukasa is all like, every time I do something, there seems to be always someone behind my back. And he's looking behind him, and it's Kohaku. And they train for a few days. And it's like every day she gets closer and closer until one day, and then boom, she jumps, like leaps higher than him. She runs faster than him. So Kohaku she's either even to Tsukasa or stronger than Tsukasa now. Not physically, obviously, but everything else that she can do.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense, because I think she's had the most experience with traveling with Senku and the others, going all around.
Yeah.
All the heavy lifting, all the heavy work, she more than happy did it. There's plenty of cutscenes of her just digging a lot of things, just excavating, doing a lot of things. She has done an extremely amount of physical labor.
Yeah.
So she deserved that power up. And that's why she was chosen to be the combatant. Because it's the scientist,
the combatant,
the pilot, and the fighter. And so she was chosen to be the fighter because Tsukasa gave her the blessings. He fought her one night, and she's all like, you betrayed us again? He's like, nah, but you can be the fighter for the team because you're basically better than me now.
Yeah. So it was really good character.
Really like that. Kohaku, great character development.
Yeah. And then we have a little bit of character development with Ryusui. And he's really going in hard on the training because he is the man who wants everything, and going to the moon is he wants it.
That was a shoo-in because he's been the pilot of everything. Yep. Everything that has to do with piloting of any type of sword, air, land, or sea, he was the one doing it. That's like he was the ace. And nobody questioned it. The only one that questioned it was Ryusui himself.
And he questioned it, and he's like, I know that there's a better pilot. There's a better pilot. And when he said that, I freaked out. I'm like, please don't. Like, the guy that basically killed everybody, who strategized to kill everybody. Are you serious? Freaking Stanley. He's like, and Stanley was currently
stoned.
He was stoned.
In more ways than one.
He was currently a stone. So he's currently, they had him petrified because he killed everybody. And he's a dangerous wild card. But Ryusui was like, he is a better shot than me. Shooting, they're gonna take guns with them too, because
it's space. There's a bunch of trash up there.
The piloting as well, and he's like, there's always been a better pilot than me. And he goes to the cave where he's at, and he's like, is this guy.
He talks to Senku and tells him about his little. He tells it with a fairy tale, right? With
like
the
little,
knight.
Yeah.
You say, I have to marry the princess, but there's a better suitor to the princess. What would you do? And Senku's all like, I don't know what you're talking about, but being an efficient scientist that I am, I would give it to the suitor. He's all like, yeah, so would I. And
Senku immediately knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, and then they talked to Zenos. He was excited.
He was excited, but
he was the one that unpetrified.
They knew he was happy, even though he didn't want to show his face about it. And then Zenos went and, did unpetrified Stanley. And
this guy with this coolness factor up to 11 just pulled out a smoke and it's like, what's the job? Like, wow, you catch on fast.
He knew. The thing that got me, this is confirmed now, bro. There's no way that's not a thing, bro. He tells Zenos, what's the job? And then he tells him, and then he's like, and he grabs his cheek, bro. Yeah, bro, they're gay. Like, there's no way. Like, they're gay for each other, and I'm here for it, bro. Like, that is legit. Like, that is awesome. There's no way. You saw how he grabbed him?
Yeah.
Bro, he stared deep into that man's eyes, bro. And, like, he was telling you, I miss you, bro. I've missed you, bro.
That's what his eyes told him.
That's
how their eyes were drawn to be able to tell that.
But yeah, now Stanley has been the chosen
added
one.
To the group.
We cut back to Ryusui
with Francois.
Francois was like, that was a really good thing that you did. I know that you really wanted to go to the moon, but you did a good thing. And he's like, I know I did a good thing. And then, bro, the feels, man, his face was just, he wanted it so bad. He's like crying. I was like, bro.
But he did it for humanity.
He did it for humanity. I love that. That was so good for his character. I was like, oh, that was great. I'm sad for you, bro. But you did the right thing, man. You did the right thing. And now they have the A team, the AAA team. We got Senku,
Kohaku,
and Stanley going up to the moon. And
they have a rocket and everything.
Yeah,
so
they have
prepared.
the rocket. So they're just waiting on a couple more things, and it's off to the moon.
Doing the math to get there.
Yep, they need the math to get there.
The trajectory, and then after
that, they'll die.
Yeah,
but we'll see. This is definitely going into the last arc for Dr.Stone. And I'm excited. We'll see what the future has in store for that story. Now we're gonna move on to Jujutsu Kaisen. Let go.
So the return was a hype, right? For it returning back, because it just left off with Maki decimating the whole family, her whole
clan in Kill Bill fashion. So great, like, oh my goodness, it was so awesome.
So I'm pretty sure now I'm not remembering, because I feel like we talked about this, but it might have been in the video that is unaired and will remain unaired.
Yeah,
so we might have talked about it in that one.
So SparkNo version, she murdered her entire Zenin clan because they're terrible people. And
they killed her sister, so they
killed her sister. So spoilers.
Her own father.
She murdered her own fathers. Her own father tried to kill her, and in self-defense, she's
killed his sister. Killed her sister, so her father has to die too.
So Maki is a complete badass on the level of Toji Zenin. That's my guy right there.
So yeah, aside from her murking everybody in her family, then we had moved on to what Itadori and Megumin are up to, and not just them, the whole freaking Tokyo, a whole area, a dome called that's being called a color game.
Before they got into it, they needed backup. Well, they needed help, and they talked to their senpai. They go and talk to their senpai. Their senpai is a badass. He's
apparently he has more freaking energy than
his curse technique is apparently like a doozy to deal with, and is on the level of Gojo, apparently, from what Gojo said.
I could have sworn that Okatsu said that he had more curse energy than him.
I don't know. They might.
If I recall correctly, I think he said that more than. So Gojo said that Okatsu had more curse energy than him, and then Okatsu said this guy has more curse energy than me. And I was like, how cool is this guy?
Right, but he runs an illegal fight club, which is really cool, because as soon as Megumi and Itadori pulled up to it, they're like, how'd you find out about this? Like, how'd you find out about the fight club? Rule number 1, talk about the fight club, bro. And then Megumi being him, he's just like, well, the guy that was fighting, I whooped his ass, so he's dead. Now y'all don't got nobody, so let me go. And then he looks at both of them. He's like, you know what? I want him. And that's what Megumi wanted. He's like, nah, let him take it. In his mind, he's like, it has to be Yuji. It has to be Yuji.
He's the best fighter from both.
And they're cool with it. They're like, hey, yeah, that's fine. Take him, bro.
And his first opponent comes out.
First opponent comes out for the tournament.
And it's freaking Panda
Senpai. And it was funny because that reminded me of the freaking of Thor. He's like, he's a friend from work.
But they actually played it cool.
They didn't
say anything. They just started fighting. So he just started wailing on Panda.
And as they're fighting, moving past each other, they're whispering to each other and they're talking. And they're like, all right, bro, make it look good. He's like, okay, bro, I got you.
They just went pro wrestling. They called the match.
And Itadori like punches Panda and he's like, and then Panda's like,
I'm gonna call the animal,
wildlife,
the wildlife preserve.
They'll hear about this, man.
He leaves all crawling. It was hilarious.
And he leaves, and then the senpai who's running the club or whatever sees that fight, and he's like, bring him to me. I like this kid. I want to meet him. And that's what they wanted. They wanted to get a word in with him. So all that happens, and then their cover gets blown, and
Itadori tried to convince him. Obviously, he's not going to do that because that's not his role. He's not a negotiator. But he tried.
He tried.
But when he knows that, oh, well, no, I'm not good at talking, so I'm good at my fists. So
Let's
like,
fight,
put
bro.
him up, bro.
And it was great because that happened. They rolled out of there. And then
so this guy's curse technique is basically what, doors?
Like
Lines?
subway doors.
I don't
know.
No idea.
They just showed it. Yeah. They just showed it for a second, and that was
it. His curse technique was really weird. He could just make doors out of thin air. Okay, so Megumin, meanwhile, was fighting someone else.
Yeah,
friend, assistant, whatever.
His best friend / assistant, whose curse technique was really cool, wild and cool.
Really cool.
It's
basically magnetism.
But it wasn't magnetism. It was based on the constellations.
I just said it was like, yeah. But it was based on the constellations, but it works like magnetism because it's like magnets. Opposites attract, boom. But if they're the same, they fall apart.
Yeah. But in order to even get to him, they had to go in a specific order to get to him to attack him, which was based on constellations as well. And also the magnetism they would repel or whatever. So they figured it out. Megumi figured it out. And he was just like, okay, got you. Bam. And as they're coming out, Megumin already has him on the ground. And then Yuji and the senpai come out and they're like, what's going on, bro? And Megumin's like, Gojo senpai, he's sealed. And they're like,
They did not believe him.
Yeah. And then he's like,
then they give him the whole story.
And they're like, oh my God, he got sealed? What do you mean? And they're like, yeah, bro, we'll help you out.
That's all it took. They needed the story to believe him.
And that's all it took. They're like, bro, we're effed. Like, Gojo's gone? What do you mean? So they're like, all right. So that happened. They got the okay from the senpai. They're like, yeah, bro, we'll help you. All right,
then they joined the culling.
And then they joined the culling game. So they appeared in front of the door to get into, or the barrier to get into the first zone or whatever. And both Megumi and Itadori, they're like, you got this, bro? Let's get this. Bam! They jump out, separated immediately.
And then Itadori is actually falling from the sky. He's like, whoa. And then next thing you know, he gets met by two other
sorcerers. He gets attacked immediately, and Itadori, being the fighter that he is, and it just like, immediately boom, 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 boom.
He takes him out real easy. So there's specific rules on the culling game, and you can look up players and their points. Mm-hmm. So it's like stats. Mm-hmm. And they look up to I think it was 3 or 2 people that 100, right? 2 people that 100 points, and they basically weighed their options. They're like, we don't know nothing about this chick, so I guess this dude looks cool.
Yeah, so they're like, all right, we'll go try to get him. So
they're both looking for him.
Yeah, they're both looking for Higuruma.
So meanwhile, Itadori is fighting this group of people, and he gets one guy.
But it turns out that guy had met Itadori before.
Oh yeah, he was his classmate, right?
No, he was from
judo.
He was from the high school, and Itadori was a middle schooler. And he saw them bullying this kid, and Itadori, being a shonen protagonist, goes and beats up the bullies. And he saw that guy and he's like, what, bro, you want some? And the guy ran away from Itadori. It was in middle school, and that's how he remembered him.
Right,
he remembered him. He's like, hey, dude, like, I'll help you out. You help me out. And he's like, all right, I'm looking for Higurama. And he's like, I know where he is, bro. So, and then meanwhile,
Megumin, we cut to Megumin, and there's a girl on the floor holding her cheeks saying, why'd you hit me? And Megumin's like, you attacked me first, so I'm gonna hit you.
it was this little detail. I don't know if you noticed it, but it showed them in that panel, and Megumin has the owl out already, and it's a curse. It's a curse technique, right? But if you notice in the mirror, there's a little mirror they usually have in Japan where you can like see cars and it's at the top.
Yeah.
You saw them and it was just them.
Yeah.
And it was cool because like you can get the perspective of what it actually looks like. It just
For
looks
humans,
like
because
two humans.
Jujutsu Kaisen, curse techniques can't be seen with people without curse energies.
And it's just a little detail like that. I'm like, that's so cool, bro. Like, just to add that. Anyways.
Basically, they control ghosts.
Yeah.
He's all like, I'm gonna kick your butt or I'm gonna kill you if you don't get out of my face. And like, hey, you're pretty strong. I'm a frail girl. Can you protect me? Like, no thanks. I'm busy at the moment. I got no time to protect anybody or be anyone's knight. He's like, oh yeah, well, what are you up to? He's like, I'm looking for a guy named Higurama.
Yeah. And
it's like, oh, I know that guy, like Itadori's situation. So now Itadori and Itadori and Megumin, they're now being led by two separate people.
Two separate people that say that they're leading them to Higurama. And it's like, well, the chapter ended in like, well, who's actually going with who? One of them is about to get betrayed. And then it cuts to the next chapter. And then we get back to Yuji's side. And the guy's like, yeah, he's in there, bro. And then and at this point, the readers don't know. The readers don't know.
Megumi also says, the girl also tells him like, he's in that room.
Itadori walks in, bam. And then Megumi walks in, bam. And then we get
Itadori first.
And
there's a guy in the
bathtub with his clothes on, and he's like, I'm just chilling here, bro. They tell us not to bathe with our clothes on, but I just wanted to try it.
Since we're living in a chaotic times right now, I wanted to try things that people won't normally do.
Yeah.
You want to try it, bro?
Breaking the rules. He's like, you want to try it, man? He's like, nah, bro. And he's like, are you Higurama? And he's like, I am. I was like, oh.
Well, before that, when he told them that he was taking a bath, then you get a cut of Megumi, and he's all like, oh, you lied to me.
Yeah. He was so pissed, bro.
He told her, like, you better get away from me right now because I'm probably going to kill you. Because he had mentioned to her, like, if you betray me, I'm going to kill you. No questions asked.
This man got betrayed. So he did not end up going to Higurama.
And then, so then we cut to Itadori, and then Higurama introduces himself. And then we have a whole ass conversation for the rest of it.
So it turns, well, they had given this Higurama backstory before.
Almost a whole, wasn't it a whole chapter?
It was a whole chapter based on him. And this man was a lawyer. So he was a lawyer that awakened his powers when the Culling game started.
Not only because he's smart, because he's a lawyer, he's going to show you that he's smart. No. So apparently, and a lot of people who become sorcerers or gain these curse technique powers, not everybody's going to be powerful. That's only if you figure it out. This man figured it out.
He figured it out. So they had that conversation of like, hey man, well, we need to use your points. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to give you my points. And then Itadori's like, I guess I got to do this. And he puts up his fist and the guy starts getting out of the bathtub. Chapter ends. The chapter ends. Next chapter starts. And Itadori immediately runs to him and freaking Higurama. The words out of his mouth were domain. I was like, what?
Yeah, bro, that was crazy. He does a freaking domain like nothing. Not even Megumin can control his domain. He did a half-ass domain, and even now, when he was in trouble fighting the other guy that he got betrayed for, he's like, I can't control my domain yet.
Yeah.
And you get this guy who just got his powers not even a week. He's all like, domain. Boom. I was like, what the heck?
It was crazy because let us tell you about this domain is
insanely
so cool. Wild and super cool. When I say Jujutsu Kaisen has one of the best power systems, I mean it. And I mean it. This is one of the reasons why.
This guy is a lawyer. So his domain
is a
It's a
courthouse.
courtroom.
It's a freaking courtroom, bro. It's so cool, dude.
He's not the judge. He's the jury, basically the jury, because he's not the defendant. He's just a guy that's there to hear the stories. He tells you what you're charged. He wants to hear your reply, and his domain will do the judging.
So he's so they got Itadori on the counts of trespassing and illegal gambling. And Itadori had to really think about it. He's like, oh man, what? And
in his mind, he's like, yeah, I did that.
Higurama explains, I have this envelope, and in this envelope there's evidence to what you did. You don't know what it is, and I don't know what it is, but you got to come up with a good argument to claim your innocence. And he's like, okay, oh man, what can I say? And Itadori, in Itadori fashion, he's like, I went in there because I had to take a dump. And then he's like, is that the defense you're going with, bro? He's like, yes. He's like, okay, let's open up the envelope. It looks here that you're trading in some money.
And it's a literal picture of him
At the counter, trading in. He's trading in the ticket for his money.
And then the final
verdict.
The final verdict, the domain's like, punish by way of what? Oh, it takes away his curse technique.
Yeah,
his cursed energy. So normally what Higurama said is that it takes away your curse techniques. But because Itadori has none,
it took away his cursed energy.
That's insane. That's an insane power. And I like that it's not just a one-hit wonder, right?
Yeah.
It's not just gonna, like he said,
Immediately
it takes your technique away. But if it doesn't have that, it's gonna take something else away. And in turn of Itadori, it took away his energy.
Yeah.
So he was just basically fighting with just this whole human body self.
And
we already know that he's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So that's not much of an issue.
But even before that, I guess it's Gege. He's explaining the power system, and if you wanted to know why he was able to use his domain so fast, he reverse engineered it, and that's why he was able to.
He basically figured out how the curses work, how curse techniques work, how curse energy works, and just followed the system backwards. Where people train to make a one-hit KO, and how to get there. He's like, so if I can get there.
And he also explained that back in the old days when Jujutsu techniques were at its peak,
first domains weren't a one-hit KO.
Yeah, they weren't a one-hit kill.
They were just a place where the users set the rules to turn the tide of the battle into their favor. But that's all it was. It was just a set of rules that you can make in order to be able to fight at an even playing field or change the tide of the battle.
And then as time kept moving forward, they kept changing the techniques to make those domains extremely hard to acquire, and they made them so that once you get your opponent in there, it's a for sure hit.
It went from being a useful technique to being basically a one-hit KO move, so a powerful move. And so the more powerful it became, the trickier it became to master. So that's why there's not many people that are able to use domains, because now everybody wants to be cool and make it into a one-hit KO. That's why there's not much domain users.
Yeah.
But back in the old days, it wasn't meant to be a one-hit KO move. It was meant to be able for you to use your powers in a different context. So it was just a useful tool to be able to use it. So a lot of people used to be able to use domains, and now
it's only a specific few.
So that's why this lawyer is able to use his domain, because it's not a one-hit KO.
Yeah.
But it is a cool move.
Yeah, it was super cool, and it's crazy. It works so well for him because he's a lawyer and because he's smart, and he literally embodied work smarter, not harder. And he's able to accomplish and get it as his domain. And so it took away Yuji's cursed energy.
And then it gave him a mallet.
To hit him with that extends. And he's like, bah, bah. And then he's like, bro, he's not fighting with cursed energy. He's just fighting me like that.
Just like
this
himself.
Is insane. Even he was impressed. He's like,
how did this man get 100 points just with this alone? And that's what he explained as they were fighting. As soon as his domain works and people lose their curse techniques, they freak out. Yeah. They don't know what to do. And this man, that just made it easier for me. I just finished them off as fast as I could before they could figure anything out.
Yeah. But with Yuji, he's like, nah, bro, this guy's different. This guy's different.
And then that's when Itadori, almost like Luffy is pretty smart when it comes to fighting. He learns as he battles. That's why he gets his butt whooped a lot. That's why he usually wins in second rounds. Itadori, as he was fighting this man, he's like, okay, so his domain was pretty badass, but it didn't finish me off in one move. Why is that? And he figures out, well, if it doesn't finish me off in one move, then it must still be active. And so he's like, I want to state my case again.
He's like, I would like a retrial. And immediately the domain pops up and Higuruma is like, damn, he figured it out.
Even he can't do anything about it.
Nope, he couldn't, because that's how the law works. And he's like, you can ask for a retrial.
But it wasn't the same case, was it?
It wasn't. It was a different case.
Case.
So it pops up. And then he's like, all right.
On the date of so-and-so, did you kill, was it 18 people?
No,
or more?
No.
It was a lot
on
more.
The day of October 31st, 2018, you murdered like 100 people. And then without any rebuttal, Yuji's like, yeah, I did that. And then he's like,
right, he was surprised. He would almost like, what? And then his domains are like, guilty. Sentence, death. I was like, oh man, bro, that's harsh. But yeah, that's true. And then his mallet turns into a blade.
And he's like,
all right, kid. Are you sure you want to plead guilty? He's like, yeah, I did that.
And then
they start fighting.
They start fighting again.
He saw the envelope. So he had lied to Yuji that he doesn't know what's in the envelope. But he already knows, because it's his domain. He already knows what's in the envelope. So he was confused on why Itadori immediately pleaded guilty when in the envelope showed evidence of Sukuna.
So it was Sukuna that killed all those people.
So he knew that you were being controlled, and then he
tied it in with actual real law. He's
mumbo jumbo stuff of not being like, you know,
in the
mentally
right mind. He's like, you weren't in the right mind, and you technically weren't in charge of your body, so you actually weren't guilty.
Yeah, you could have pled your innocence, and that would have been fine. Yeah. But then he asked Itadori straight up. That was all his inner monologue.
Yeah.
And then he just straight up asked Itadori, like, why'd you plead guilty, kid?
He's like, I did that. Nah, bro,
Sukuna did that. He's like, you know about Sukuna? I was like, yeah, I know about Sukuna. He's like, yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that I was so weak to stop it. I couldn't stop it. I could have if I was stronger, but I was weak.
Yeah, and that's when it hit him, and Higuruma was like, all right, bro, we can stop fighting now. And he's like, you know what? All right, bro, I'll give you my 100 points. And he's like, all right. He's like, make this new rule. So the new rule was players can trade points between each other. And Higuruma made that rule, did 100 points. He had 103 points. So he had a total of 103 points. And those 3 points came from non-sorcerers. So he asked Yuji, he's like, you ever killed someone, bro? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to. And he's like, I have. And Higuruma was like, me too. And he's like, here.
Sucks. He's like, it sucks, doesn't it? That's the worst feeling.
Yeah. And he's like, here, take a point. And he's like, why? He's like, so that way it won't.
Because if you don't gain points in 19 days or something, then you lose your curse technique.
You're subject to curse removal, which is you get killed. So he's like, all right.
You don't have to worry about it in 19 days. I don't have to worry about it.
And then he's like, and Yuji's like,
Join us, bro. You're
man.
Pretty strong. You're pretty cool.
And then he's like, nah, man. If I join you, if I just kept hanging out with you,
like, I'm gonna hate myself.
And he's like,
that's true. Yeah. Like, he already hates himself because Yuji is so honest.
Yeah.
And he's been through so much that him as an adult, he feels like, damn, this kid is way more honest and can face things head on more than me. That's why he didn't join him. He's like, if I keep hanging around you, I'm just gonna end up hating myself.
And he's like, see you around, kid. And Somber leaves. And I was like, it was one of the most coolest characters in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Heck like, yeah. His power was cool. His characteristics were cool.
His backstory was cool. Like, I'm telling you, this is what puts JJK up on the top of the rankings of Shonen Jump. It's stuff like this, bro. Good storytelling. Good storytelling.
And then we hit back to Megumi, who was just betrayed. And he's being attacked. Oh, he actually meets a sorcerer who already knew about what's his face, the leader guy. But he knew that the culling game is not what it seems.
Yeah.
He feels like there's something behind this. It's not just a game where we're gonna score points and kill each other. Like there's a reasoning behind all of this. And he is spot on. But then he's like, oh, I want you to join me and we'll join forces to stop this. This dude that Megumin faced off is a sorcerer who seems pretty intellectual. And he knew that there's a reason behind the culling game. There has to be some reason. It's not just us, a battle royale, to kill each other. No, there's some deeper meaning into this. He's like, so how about you join forces because you seem pretty strong. And then Megumin's like, nah, bro. I ain't having none of that. And he tells the girl too, get out of my face. I never want to see you again. Because the next time I see you, I'm going to kill you.
Bro, I'm telling you.
But he gives her a chance, at least.
Yeah. And this guy was just, the guy that, I forget his name. I honestly forgot his name. The guy that was facing off against Megumi. He was like, negotiations failed. Time to kill you.
Guy comes out, attacks Megumi. He throws him off the building. And then his owl was still activated. And even the chick didn't know. It's like, oh, he still had the owl out. And then boom, hits that guy. But didn't kill him. Just wrecked him. Just like 4 or 5 stories up, all the way down. And then that guy immediately knew. It's like, oh, he's not going for the kill. And then Megumi straight up tells him like, hey, in a short while, there's going to be a new rule added to the game. Give me all your points. I'm going to make you give me your points.
And he's like, nah, bro. And then as soon as he said no,
there's an
eyeball that comes next to him. And he's like, boom. And that's where that chapter had in. And then we get
more fighting. It's just Megumi just fighting these. He's fighting against 3 guys, right?
Fighting 3 guys.
So the guy that he threw out, he's like, that was a long climb back.
He's like, you should have just taken the stairs, you idiot. And he starts fighting him, and he throws him out the window, and he pulls a sword because he has a shadow technique, right? He pulls a sword out with the hilt.
He thinks about it. He's all like, okay. And then it's announced that the new rule is added.
No, that was after.
Because he thinks about it.
You're right.
He thinks about it. He's all like, wait, do I even need all of these points? Like, nah, I'm just going to take them out.
Yep. He's like, because the new rule is already made.
Yeah. He doesn't quickly kill this guy. He brutally kills this guy. And he kills this guy because he gets points added. Bro. So that means he killed someone.
And it was crazy because they ran out the window because he was trapped. And he pushed the guy out, and he used his max elephant, which grows, and it boom. So he grabs him, and as he's going down, he hits him with the hilt of the sword on his head. Bah, bah.
Over and over until he's dead.
No. He landed, and he was still up, and the guy's like, oh, what the heck?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, but they landed, and then he, instead of the hilt, he turned the sword, and he stabbed him through the head. He stabbed this guy through the head.
Dang, I read that real quick.
He stabbed this guy through the head. I'm like, Megumin, what a savage, bro. Like, and then
instead of using his curse techniques, I'm like, that's a giant elephant. He could squish this guy to death. No, he's like, I'm gonna do this with my bare hands, kid. You're dead.
And then the leader, I guess, comes out. He's like, that's a shame. That was a waste of points. He's like, I didn't even get to see his curse technique. And then Megumi comes out, and they're about to attack Megumi, and they throw something at him.
Yeah, that explosion thing. There's another guy that does that did that explosion thing, and he does the explosion thing, and Megumi bumps into a door to avoid the explosion, and he also saves the girl. And the girl, she is basically very, very desperate to find someone. She's scared. Overall, she's scared. She wants someone to protect her. That guy is strong apparently. So she's all like, that guy promised to protect me. And he's all like, just get out of here and never show your face to me again. He's like, no, if you're strong, then you protect me too. Say that you'll protect me. He's like, you're scum.
And he just turns around.
Disgusted by this woman being so desperate for protection.
And then he turns around, and then she stabs him. She stabs him with her hair because it's like a scorpion.
It's like a scorpion.
And he's like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, again, you betrayed me. Like, what? Like,
just either get out of here or I'm gonna kill you. And she's just being persistently she's scared. She's fighting. So I understand her, but still, Megumin is like, nah, I'm not having, this is a bad day for me today. I'm just gonna kill everybody. Just like his cousin.
Yeah. And so he ends up going outside, and the 2 guys are there, and they're like, yeah, bro, we're gonna have to kill you. And they like do the explosion thing again, and then this random guy goes boom.
Such a random guy. He took the explosion to the face.
And then
he's like, I'm unharmed.
no damage. And that's where it
Wasn't
ends.
there like blood?
There's all this blood on his face.
So there was damage, but this guy seems like an eccentric fellow.
So it's crazy because he's already been introduced. So he was introduced when Higurama was introduced. When they said there's sorcerers that are now getting curse energy, Higurama was one of them, and this guy was another one. But when we saw him, he had like a really kind of like mafia type of look to him, and he was just like really serious. I forget his name though.
And now he is.
And now he's just like looks like a cuckoo guy. So
just a really eccentric fellow.
And it looks like he's gonna help Megumin. So he's like 2-on-1. That's not fair. All right, and that's where the chapter ends. So that was the latest chapter today. We'll see.
Jujutsu Kaisen is pretty.
It's up there, bro.
Pretty funny, pretty entertaining right now.
Very entertaining.
Oh, there was a popularity poll.
Oh, there was. Yep, there was.
And number one, for good reasons, was that boy Megumin.
Yeah, Megumin was number one.
Gojo was number two, and Itadori was number three.
And it was crazy because a lot of people on like freaking Twitter were complaining about.
It was really tight though. They weren't off by that much.
No, not even about that. But the fact that they took the popular, I'm pretty sure it's people who don't like Jujutsu Kaisen. They took the popularity poll because a lot of the top characters, like 1 through 10, were not women. Even though he has good women characters, right? But at the same time, you got to think about like who's voting in this. Like it's weekly Shonen Jump is gonna be guys, right? So they're like based on coolness factor or whatever. But they took that to say that all his women characters are badly written. I'm like, bro, you own.
Get out of here, bro. That's why I'm not in any social medias.
Yeah, do not be that fan that
we have social media accounts. That's all run by Eric.
Yeah,
I could care less.
Yeah, so but just don't be that fan and base your opinion off a freaking popularity poll. Like that's not. Read the story. Read the freaking story, my guy.
That's the thing. A lot of people are not gonna take their time. They just hate on stuff.
Yeah, so
some people just hate to hate.
Yeah.
Or some people just don't understand. Intellectually, they're not there.
Yeah.
In that argument, I would say that Jujutsu Kaisen, for whatever, Nobara, one of the best written female characters in Shonen Jump in a long time.
Yeah. So we have really good characters. Maki, we have
and that's what
Nobara.
I feel about Red Hood too. Like a little bit about Red Hood. It still needed some development to get there, but yeah, Nobara was for me the best female character that I've seen in a Shonen series. In a very long time.
But yeah, the people who hate on Jujutsu Kaisen, well, who made the top sales this year in manga? Jujutsu Kaisen.
Check it out. Not even close, bro. Jujutsu Kaisen killed it.
They freaking killed it. And this was the year that the Demon Slayer movie came out and everything, and Jujutsu Kaisen still beat out.
But the Demon Slayer movie came before, but for Western fans this year.
Yeah, so it still made the top sales and everything. So, like, I'm telling you, there's some truth to what I'm saying. I'm just saying. Yeah, moving on to My Freaking Hero Academia. Like, oh my God.
The anime adaptation of Among Us.
If you're noticing by the thumbnail, this is what we're gonna talk about, but we're gonna catch up to a little bit first because
there is a badass. Speaking of badass female characters, Nobara, and then came the one and only Star and Stripe.
Star and freaking Stripe, my guy. Like, oh my God.
Un-American, the number one American hero.
Basically All Might, female All Might.
Female All Might. Basically, she was inspired by All Might.
She was.
Number one hero. When I first read it, I was like, this is all the characters that were shown to be American. I was like, bro, this is so stereotypical of the G.I. Joe soldier, right? I accept it. I don't care how stereotypical it was of an American look or aspect from a foreigner or whatever. I don't care how stereotypical it was. It worked.
It worked. It freaking worked.
I loved it. By the end, I was like, I accept this.
Yes.
So it is the number one hero in America, and she was called, she was called by All Might.
She wasn't called.
She went rogue.
Yeah, she went rogue, and she told the U.S. government, hey, bro, I'm gonna go help him out because that's my master. My master needs help. And she took a whole force with her, like a whole force of like
her own personal force.
Her own personal force of her army military.
They're like,
buddies.
we're gonna totally get court-martialed and all of this. She's like, yeah, we're still following you though.
That's how real they are with her. They're bros. bros for life with her.
And then All Might and the other heroes are talking about it, like, she's coming? She's like, yeah, she always does what she wants to anyways. Like, oh, that's going to be a big help in this fight.
Yeah, and then we're wondering why, and then we cut to freaking All For One.
And he's talking. Like,
and he's like, yeah, we got to go get her quirk. And we're like, well, why?
Once we get that, bro, nobody's going to stand a chance against me.
Bro, her quirk, oh my God.
So just having All For One mention that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That once he gets her quirk,
it's done. Done.
This is easy. Everything's gonna be easy. We don't have to. Not even One For All is gonna be able to match me. And I'm like, how strong is this quirk? And then he mentions like, oh, I already sent Shigaraki. Shigaraki's already going. So just out of the first introduction of her and her talking and how cocky she is and how ready she is to fight,
there's good reason for it.
And Shigaraki's already being sent. So right off the bat, you're gonna get a big battle. They're already meeting each other, and he's already there waiting for her. He already met up with the fleet.
Yeah.
And then the heroes were like driving nearby.
Yeah.
But they were still far away. They're like, oh, that must be her. The next thing you know, warning, we spotted Shigaraki. They're like, oh no.
They're like, oh boy.
He's like, oh, you must be All For One. Oh no, she tells him, oh, you must be Shigaraki. And they're like, me? Like who, me? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, because right now he's currently in the process of mixing with All For One.
Yeah,
we still don't know his real name, but he's currently in between. Am I Shigaraki or am I All For One?
Star and Stripes are like, good. I'll just get rid of you right now. She goes in for the attack
and immediately tells her guys, "Hey, light them up! Lasers coming out of these freaking fighter jets just." And then we get introduced to her freaking quirk. Her quirk is called New Order.
It's an amazing quirk. She, first of all, grabs the air and tells her the air about 200 kilometers in front of me is gone.
No oxygen.
No oxygen there. And she goes like, well, that must be her quirk. Well, what's it about? Because they're in the air. They're far away. He can't hear what she's saying. And he's like, oh. He's like, oh, whoa,
I can't breathe.
He's like, I wonder how her quirk works. So he doesn't know yet what her quirk is, but he's trying to figure it out. And she's just going all out with him, right?
She keeps piling on the laser attacks on him.
He reflects it. Mm-hmm. And then that's when we get another word. So like, she touches the laser. So like, New Order, the lasers are tangible. She just grabs the laser, just like wiggles it around and throws it away.
Oh my God.
That is amazing. So basically her quirk can give new orders on how they work with physically. So she can do it for 2 orders. She can do 2 orders.
Up to 2, only 2.
Only 2. But the thing is, technically she can only do 1 because she always does it on herself. How is she? She's jacked.
She is jacked, so she works out.
She is technically a female All Might. How is her physical self that jacked? Is because she gave her body a new order and she pushed her body to the limit with her power. So her power is always on herself. Mm-hmm. So she has superhuman abilities like All Might, but that's because of her power. Even though she states that she's not as strong as All Might, but still she's physically imposing.
Yeah.
So she could only give order to one more other thing.
And it's crazy. And we're just like, did America just get all the best quirks or what? Like, what's going on, Chief? Whatever way you look at it, that's an OP quirk. Like, that is extremely OP.
She can change anything.
Anything. just
one thing.
That she's always using the
that's
one on
still
herself.
Crazy powers.
She's fighting Shigaraki, lighting him up and everything, and then she
notices that she's not doing any damage because he has a regenerative ability.
Yeah,
so he's regenerating,
and she's trying everything. So she's like, she calls up the guy in America. She's like, "Hey, bro, send the things, bro." And then he's like, what? Really? You want me to send those? Send the things, bro. You know what I'm talking about.
We need it. At this moment, we need it. This isn't like I'm fighting this guy right now. This isn't a Japan problem. This is going to become a global problem. So I need you to send me the things.
And of course, in America freaking fashion, they send her missiles. The Tiamat or something like that.
Like the Tiamat missiles or something like that.
Tiamat missiles.
Hypersonic missiles.
Hypersonic missiles in classic American fashion, of freaking course.
Of course, missiles are the answers.
So as they're coming in, she makes a new order and she makes herself
So
freaking
Shigaraki can't see it. He's all like, oh, she gave a new order. She grabbed air again, and she's all like, the oxygen becomes me, only 100 times bigger. So then we get a silhouette of the clouds being formed into her, and then she just, wow! Then Shigaraki's all like, what is she doing? She's so far away. Boom!
Gets hit with it.
Gets sent down to the ocean, and she tells the boys, light it up! And they hit him with lasers too.
So still in her, controlling her air form, the missiles come in, and she grabs the missiles, freaking chunks them at Shigaraki.
And as she grabs them, she's all like, this is the one, I gotta turn real quick because it's gonna rip my arm off. So she's like, oh. So with the lasers holding down Shigaraki, she has missiles in her freaking hands, and she just goes into the water with them. And kablooey.
Dun dun dun. Or so we thought. Shigaraki being Shigaraki.
His main quirk,
Decay.
his original quirk, decay. So what does he do? He days a hole on the ground. So as soon as the missiles hit, he knew that he had to time it just right in order to escape. If not, she would notice. So right when the missiles hit, Shigaraki just became a mole rat.
And he's just like, boop, I hide here, bro. And the missiles, it hit him, but not as badly.
He was disintegrated partially. And he wasn't regenerating as fast because she knew that, oh, we're wearing him out. It's working. So he goes in for the attack. He's like, that was the strongest thing they had against me, and it didn't kill me. So you're out of options. So he goes, and she's also worn out because that was a lot for her to do. So her fighters knew that, oh crap, we got to protect Star and Stripe. So they tried. And Shigaraki's goal is to take her quirk. So in order to do that, he needs to touch.
As much as they tried, they unfortunately failed. And he was able to get to her.
Yeah, so remember, Shigaraki cannot technically fly. He just leaps really far in order to be able to stay afloat. And the fighter jets, he was using the fighter jets to leap. So they got further away from her. And when he leaped to one of them, one of the dudes said, like, do it now. Just smack me and kill me with this guy. It's like, he can't regenerate right now. We got him, chief. Kill me and take me with this guy. I'll gladly die for you. And then she remembered flashbacks of how, because she was a woman, because she was powerful, not many people wanted to work with her.
Yeah.
But these group of guys did. They would always be by her side. They would always say, like, when we go to the battlefield, we'll expect to die together.
Yeah.
And if we do die, or one of us do die, we make sure to bring your body back.
Yeah.
America. Normally, that's what they said. We agreed. When there's a chance that we're going to go into battle, we're going to die. So we can accept death as soon as we go into battle.
Yeah.
And then she thought about it, and she just couldn't bring herself to do it. So Shigaraki went from that fighter jet deep to her. Chapter ends with him grabbing her face.
Yeah. And we're like, oh no.
And then her boys were like, no, too. Just like us. They were basically us.
Yeah. And so, and then that chapter ended, and we start out the next chapter.
Solar quirk, her face started cracking because remember, even though he's using All for One's ability to take the powers, anything he touches with his original ability still decays. So her face started cracking,
and it was so crazy because like she was remembering all that, and she's like, all right, whatever, I'll give it up, whatever. These guys, they need to make it home or whatever. So she did it for her boys, bro, and
she held onto him so that he won't be able to leap away from her.
So as he's grabbing her, and he's like,
menacing laugh,
he's like, I've done it, it's mine, right? And then immediately, boom,
he just starts bursting,
and All for One inside of him, he's like, what the hell did you do?
And then she appears inside of him. She goes from like exoskeleton to her normal self, and she's all like, I gave a new order. I gave my own quirk a new order, and that is to destroy all other quirks. So this man,
what a savage.
This man is full of quirks. His whole essence is quirks. So she is basically cancer to him. So she's like, I'm gonna die, but I'm gonna make sure to take you down with me. So that was her original plan. Yeah. So obviously that's on the inner monologue and like the inside spirit that he did with Deku, or Deku does with All Might, right? So that's an inner thing. And then on the outside, that boy's just exploding everywhere.
And then All for One is like, bro, we gotta get out of here, bro. He's like freaking that Patrick, oh my God. He's just like, we got to get out of here. And then the main guy in her squad sees that and he's like,
they try
boys,
to stop him. Yeah.
light him up.
Like, we're not going to let Star and Stripe die for no reason. And by this point, Star and Stripe disintegrated.
Yes.
They saw her disintegrate.
And she's
she goes out saluting. So we go out saluting her as well.
Yes. As Shigaraki is getting away, he gets on a Nomu because he had ridden into battle on a Nomu that flew. So he takes the flying quirk from the Nomu, gets it on himself, and he's like, "Bro, we gotta find somebody,
Shigaraki
bro."
Has Nomu wings. He crash lands because he's taking damage still from all the quirks being destroyed inside of him.
Yeah.
So he just crash lands onto a house that turns out to be like robbers.
Yeah.
Like a hideout for robbers, coincidentally.
Yeah.
And he just grabs a random person there.
And All For One's dialogue, he's like, you know what? I'll grab this guy, I'll give it to him, and I'll just let it stay there, and I'll come back for it later. But he explained, we didn't know this before, he can give quirks, he could take away from quirks, but he can't just dispose of one. He can't just be like, all right, I'm just gonna throw it. No, he needs to have somebody to give it to.
Yeah, it needs to be a person-to-person exchange. It can't just be him. Like, I don't want this quirk. Meh.
Yeah.
No, it needs to be someone that he has to be able to give to. He can transfer quirks. He just can't discard them.
Yeah.
That's why New Order was destroying him from the inside, and he just found a random person. And that's where it ended when he grabbed that person.
Yeah.
And that's it. And next thing you know, he's just recuperating. He's just like dragging his dead, like half dead carcass, isn't he?
No. He was about to give that quirk because he was gonna come back for it later, and then her ghost pops up again, and he's like, "You fool! It doesn't work that way. It destroys all quirks. So it's gonna destroy itself in the process afterwards, even if she gave it to him. Because if he gives it to that guy's gonna die, and that quirk dies with him. So they didn't really explain that because they didn't show it. So we're kind of led to believe
she gave one last hurrah to him, saying like, "Hey, I'm dead already. Just so you know, I'm basically dying, but I'm making sure that I even the playing field a little bit. As much as I can help All Might, I'm helping them. But I'll leave you with these parting words. Like, no matter how much you despise us, no matter how many of us you take down, as long as there's someone alive, there is someone who's gonna end up fighting for a cause, and that cause will cause them to be a hero. So there will always be a hero to fight against you at any given time."
And it was weird because like when she said that, it did like a little, I guess this is inside Shigaraki's like mind. It's him as a kid being surrounded with hands, and he says Midoriya, like kind of like,
yeah,
it was weird,
that
like,
hero.
Yeah, so I was like,
when she mentioned about that one hero that would always fight,
yeah,
and it's no longer All Might. Now he's thinking Midoriya.
But yeah, now we see him in this sorry state, and his reflect quirk is gone, and we don't know what
he's lost a lot of quirks. We don't know how many, but he's lost a crap ton of quirks.
The one we know for sure is gone is his reflect quirk, so he can't do reflect anymore. It's gone. Gone.
But apparently not his regenerative one, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna have to regenerate from that. So for everyone that thought that Shigaraki was too OP, Star and Stripe, Mirko said, nah, he
This only goes to show like Horikoshi's story writing. Like, this is how you introduce an OP character
and take him out. It wasn't a throwaway character. Star and Stripe was not a throwaway character. Nope. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah. No.
They changed the game for the villains. So you had a villain that was too OP. Even I'm like, how is 9 quirks gonna take out an infinite amount of quirks? It's not infinite. There's a finite amount of quirks, but it almost seems
a lot.
Yeah, there's just too many. Oh, and that cat girl, what was her name? She had that search ability. Yeah, so he lost that too. So now, they mentioned in the previous chapter, that he lost his quirk ability to search.
Yeah, so that's good. Now it's like,
so now they're not gonna get a surprise attack from them. Yeah, because he lost that quirk.
They had battle data from.
The Americans.
The Americans had the battle data. They gave it to the Japanese, the people, All Might, and the police force, and the heroes, and they're like, "Here, she might have died, but she left y'all this." And they use that battle data to basically
try to figure out
say the same thing that you just said right now. And All Might passes that along to the students and is like, "We got an extension. He's not gonna be ready for like at least another week, so we gotta attack. If we're gonna attack, we gotta attack now. Like we gotta go now."
And then we cut the awful one. It's like, damn that Star and Stripe. Like, it's okay though. So this time he was talking to Dabi, because then Dabi's also kind of being a smart ass.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh well, your plan failed, huh?" Like, don't worry, Dabi. Unlike you, I don't lose my cool.
He's like, I have a multitude of plans. And along with those multitude of plans, I have
many friends.
And then the chapter
friends
ends
everywhere.
And then that chapter ends after saying that. It says friends everywhere. You see 2 gloves and you see like a shadow of figure. And I'm like, wait, who that? And then I see the gloves and I'm like,
there's a traitor.
There's a
amongst
traitor
them.
Amongst them. Among us. Among us. Among us.
And so the original speculation was that Invisible Girl was probably going to be the traitor.
Yeah, because they
that was the
gloves.
last panel. After him saying that he has friends everywhere, the next panel, the last image you see is Invisible Girl's hands in the forest. That's it.
And that's it.
Like, oh, that makes sense. Nobody can see her.
So we cut to the next chapter. In the next chapter, we start off with them doing their little training and, you know,
explaining their powers, their power-ups that they've been working on.
And Deku's like, Kachan, come on, fight with me, bro. Let's go. Let's do some training, bro. And then Kachan's like, shut up, you twerp, or whatever, in Kachan fashion. And then they skip to Todoroki. Todoroki is now able to control both of his sides. And I'm like, yeah, that boy's going to go flame on. And
he's trying to balance. He say like, it's hard, but I can probably do it. I have to do it in order for be able to stand up against Dabi.
Yeah, so.
Then Deku's all like, I'm going to go outside, guys. Why? I don't know. I'm just going outside.
Yeah.
And then we get a cutscene. And who do we see? The Invisible Girl hiding behind the trees like,
or so you thought. And she's looking at somebody, and that somebody is Aoyama. And Aoyama
is having a conversation with his parents.
And he is crying, and they're crying, and
then they just start spilling the beans. They're like, I know we thought that was the end, but we can't go against his orders. You have to do what All For One says. And I'm like, bro, they're just spilling the beans in the open.
Bro, and that is crazy. So now we're getting this whole backstory on Aoyama and why.
Just quick flashbacks of all the moments that they fought the League of Villains. Aoyama was talking to someone on the phone, telling them their location. Oh, if you forget who Aoyama is, like I do, I really don't remember any of My Hero Academia's characters because they have so many names, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, I tend to remember them through their superhero names or
their quirks.
Their quirks.
Yeah.
This guy is the belly button, the naval guy,
the
one that shoots the lasers.
Yeah.
The creepy dude.
But
so turns out
he
was a traitor all along.
So now they're explaining his backstory and why he's the traitor. Well, came up from a wealthy family. Obviously, his parents were really wealthy, but it turns out he was born quirkless. And because of his parents fearing for what that would do to him, they're like, no, like we have money. We're going to find a way to make sure that he can get a quirk.
And in their terms of seeking, they heard rumor about someone. Mm-hmm. And that's how they met All For One.
And he bestowed upon him a quirk, and it was his naval quirk. And as soon as he got it, his body immediately rejected it because it was not meant for him. And that's why he's always having those stomach pains. And then his parents invested money into that belt that he wears that helps him out.
And then he was really appreciative. He understood why his parents did that for him and how much they sacrificed for him, even though they're rich. But he knows just how much his parents loved him and wanted him to be like everyone else. And so he's like, I'm going to be a hero to pay back for everything that my parents did for me. So that's why he wants to be a hero, to pay back his parents for everything that they did for him. Mm-hmm. Then All For One came a calling.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I gave you this quirk, so you made the devil's deal, and now you gotta work for me, and you gotta send your son to this school because that's where All Might's gonna be teaching. I want you to give me locations. I want you to give me names. I want you to be the traitor among us.
At first, he did it really without remorse. At first, because he's like, I have to.
Yeah,
we made the deal. I just have to do it.
Yeah, and they have to because if they don't, All For One will kill them.
And he made an example that they explained later on that he showed them. He killed someone in front of them to make sure that they're going to follow it. So they are following rules or they're following his orders without question. But at first he explained that I was doing it. The first time I did it, I felt remorse, but not that much because, it's for my parents. And then All For One is all powerful, so we can't do much about it. But once he got to know Midoriya, and he became friends with Midoriya and found out that Midoriya was quirkless, then he's all like, come on, this guy, quirkless, now has powers and he's the essence of a true hero. And look at me, I'm betraying him every twist and turn. So he felt even worse about himself. And then he thought he was in the clear when they captured All For One, but nope, it didn't stop.
Yep. And
Shigaraki and the others were there. And so then Invisible Girl's all like, oh man, I just heard the craziest thing. And then she just like, I gotta tell somebody. Whoop. She runs.
And she runs into Deku, who went outside apparently for some reason.
He just mentioned the last panel, I'm gonna go outside.
And then he goes and he runs and they're like, and he's like, Aoyama. And he's like, nani.
So like, is it true? Are you a traitor? And then his parents are like, what?
He's like, who said that? He's like, Invisible Girl told me. And they're like, what?
She's lying.
She's a liar.
Nah, she heard y'all, bro.
She heard y'all. She's invisible. You didn't see her, but she saw you.
And he's like,
and they're like, take off. And they took off. They took off running.
And then Oyama's like, I'm sorry, Deku, but I gotta protect my parents. So he shoots a laser beam. And then Invisible Girl's all like, nah, bro. Boom. Just blocks it. She's like, I can reflect light. He's like, how convenient, bro. The one person you cannot hurt.
And did Deku need her help? Not really.
Not really, but she's cool.
Yeah, she's cool. So
and
she took that for him.
A lot, yeah. And he easily captures them.
Immediately, the next panel is Black Whip down. Y'all ain't going nowhere.
And then he's all like, why, bro? Why? Dick was all crying and stuff.
And so he obviously does what he got to do. He takes them
to the teachers.
And he's like, interrogation time. And then everybody's there. And
so
then
they
the students come in and they're like, oh my God, Aoyama, you were the one among us? And then the principal, the Nezu, he's like, all right, kids, I'm gonna need y'all to leave. And then Todoroki's like, how about no, bro? We're staying. Because he was the one among us.
He's like, it was Deku that hit the report button, bro. We're allowed to be here.
Report button, bro. No.
Oh, no, Invisible Girl. Invisible Girl hit the report button. And now we're here, bro. Everybody gets to be here. And it's a meeting.
It's a meeting, bro. My Hero Among Us edition. Invisible Girl started. Everybody's like,
she hit that report button, and now they're here.
They're like, we're here.
And now they're discussing what they're gonna do.
You gotta tell us
the first thing they really easily figure out is the fact that he doesn't have the explosion thing that Lady Nagon had, because Lady Nagon was blown up. She's alive, so stop crying. She's alive, but super injured, and is probably never going to be a hero again. And if he's connected to the All For One, he would have already known that we just captured him, so he probably would have blown him up.
So they're interrogating the parents, and they're like, well, what do you know? And they're like, we know nothing. We just got a quirk for him. And what a useless quirk to give to your kid, by the way. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's a naval laser.
But he's in class 1. He made it to the top of the class. Nah, he's pretty cool, man. He's pretty cool. He left them cheese or whatever.
And it says
creepy message.
And it said, I know. That's all it said.
And then Deku was all like, oh, that must have been a message to me about something else. That's one way I could have connected. I'm sorry, bro.
A lot of the people and while they're interrogating the parents, the classmates are like, why, Aoyama? Why were you the one among us? And they're like, really, man? Like, did we not mean that to you? We went through all this stuff and everything. And then Deku, like a freaking hero that he is, interjects. And he's like, bro, it was my fault. Like,
yeah, it's not nobody's fault. It's All For One, bro. I understand. It's like, don't worry. I'm not gonna abandon you. You didn't do anything wrong. You had to do what you had to do because your
like,
parents were being threatened.
Yeah, like you were under that situation, so I understand. I know another hero who was also in that situation. She might have turned, but she always kept that hero spirit. And then it shows like Lady Nagon. I was like, ugh. And then he's like, man, I should have seen the signals, the whole cheese thing, bro. Like, the cheese, bro, that was creepy, but that was an SOS, bro.
Probably an SOS. It's the cheese, man. That was a critical moment.
If you were an actual villain, like you were saying, you wouldn't have helped out Bakugo and
Todoroki when they were being attacked.
No, Bakugo and Tsukiyomi. No, not Tsukiyomi. No. Bird guy. Damn, I feel bad.
Shadow guy.
Oh, Edgelord guy. Yeah. Batman.
Edgelord Bird.
Yeah.
We're terrible.
I got a whole video idea for that now. Oh my god. All right. I'm so sorry, guys. But yeah, Edgelord Bird, you would have helped them if you weren't actually if you were an actual villain like you're saying. You just feel bad about yourself.
Like, I understand you, bro.
He's like, I understand you. And he hit him with that line, bro. That line hurt. And I'm like, it's okay, bro. You can still be a hero.
With tears in his eyes.
Ugly, bro. He hit him with that All Might line that All Might gave to him, bro. He's like, you too can be a hero. And he's like, you can still be a hero.
Bakugo was like, what?
He knew, like,
oh, look at this kid. Look at this kid taking charge.
He's like, who? Deku, what, bro? He's been through some stuff. That's why, but he's like, take my hand, bro. You can still be a hero. Yeah, wait, feels. Even though you were among us.
We already caught you, traitor.
We caught you, traitor. But it's okay. We won't.
We're not gonna eject you.
We're not gonna eject you out the spaceship, bro.
Not that explains all the coincidences of them finding them and being able to fight them. There wasn't a coincidence. There was a traitor amongst them.
So this whole ordeal that we just explained from the top, from Star and Stripe to this, extremely beautiful storytelling, great storytelling, amazing. Like,
damn, bro, Star and Stripe was one of my favorite characters.
R.I.P.
Goes down as one of the greatest.
Horikoshi does not hold back with his female characters, bro.
Screw it, bro. A lot of people might hate it because she was taken out so fast, so quickly, but nah. That's just how it went. That makes her a lot more memorable.
Went out like a G, bro. Went out like a G for her homies, bro. For her boys. She said, I got y'all, bro. Y'all going home, bro. I'll take it, bro. If it's just me, whatever, bro.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna make sure this guy's crippled. He ain't gonna be the same after meeting me. And he's not.
He was not the same.
Because America.
And he was not the same.
Ain't nobody the same after meeting America.
Sheesh. Oh my goodness.
That's what we do.
That's what we do here. Horikoshi did his research, bro. He did his research. He knows what's America and what's not America, bro. He knows. So, man, but yeah, she was a cool character, bro. She was really cool. But this whole everything Horikoshi's been doing amazing.
For the last 2 months or so.
Not even this whole year, bro. This whole year has been a nothing but a big win for him.
You're right.
Bro.
You are so right.
A big win for him, bro. Horikoshi is already up there. My Hero has cemented its place up there in the shonen grade. So, like, I don't care who you are, you can't tell me otherwise.
Basically, that wraps up. So you see why we read. Watching is fun, but reading can take it a whole nother level.
So, like,
plus you stay with the times.
Yeah, you stay with the times
instead of waiting a whole year or two.
Yeah, you stay up with the times, and I implore everybody, like, if you're really into manga and like to anime, like, just read a lot, man. You'll really get into some really great stories. You'll run into some bad ones, but it's okay. Like,
it's quicker to get rid of them that way, because when you watch, you spend like 20 minutes watching.
Chapters, you'll just go through them in like 2-3 minutes.
Like, even this ain't my flavor.
Or like 5 minutes. If you're like a deep reader like me, like, I don't like reading really fast through the story, right? I like to actually pay attention to details and stuff. So it'll take me like 5 minutes compared to like 24 minutes of watching an anime. Like, don't get me wrong, I love anime. I love watching anime, but
that's how we started.
That's how you start. But in order to expand your knowledge on more stories, read. I implore you to read. That's when you'll find a bunch of good stuff that's out there. You'll find new stuff that you didn't even know that you liked, or that you didn't even know that it existed, right?
Something that you could give a chance. Like, a lot of people hate on isekai.
Mm-hmm.
Eric disliked isekai, but I've introduced Eric to a few isekai mangas that now have animes or are having upcoming animes, and even some that pretty much entertained Eric.
Yeah, so
and he read it first.
I despise isekai, so you just gotta read stuff, and it just helps build your knowledge, and it expands your
fandom.
World.
Yeah.
If you've bared with us for this entire video, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. I know it was a doozy for this one. But we'll have the timestamps on there. Keep looking out for these. We're gonna keep doing these because we love covering these stories. These stories are really great.
When we weren't recording this, we were on the phone talking.
However long this video is probably like not even half the time we would spend talking about this stuff.
We once talked about One Piece for about 3 hours.
For 3 hours straight. So, and that just goes to show how much we really, really, really love this stuff and how much we enjoy reading and talking about it. But we just wanted to bring that to you guys. So keep looking out for this stuff. We're gonna keep posting these videos. And until next time, guys, out.